Hey everyone, I have an exciting show for you today. I have one of those shows that I just simply love doing. We're bringing back a returning guest, and she has some exciting news to share with us. Let's welcome back Modesta to the show. How you doing this morning?
Hello, I'm doing great. And yourself? How's
I'm,
everyone doing?
we're all doing great. We look forward to hearing about your exciting news. Care to share what it is?
Absolutely. So this past Friday, I resigned from my corporate position, and I am pursuing real estate full time.
Wow, that's amazing, right? So first Monday, not reporting to a W-2, working for
Yes.
the man, whatever you say.
Yep. Yep.
How does it feel?
It feels great. I mean, I feel like I there was a time where once I told my boss that I was leaving, I, I I didn't really feel anything. It was kind of like, okay, I gave my letter in, and I thought at that moment that I was going to feel some type of like sadness but I was just ready.
Yeah.
Friday came along and I was just like, all right, here I am. Here's my computer. I'm ready to do it.
Here's my computer, my badge. See ya.
Yep. That's exactly how it was. I was just ready. Yep.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, this has been quite the journey. So let's celebrate the success. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, and I saw it posted by April, a joint friend of ours. You've left the workforce at 29.
Yes.
That's amazing. 29.
Yep.
So let's go back to the beginning. Where does this real estate journey start for you? Because, completing that by your 29th birthday is awesome. So, but how does it start? How does it start for you?
So my husband and I actually, as our first purchase, we actually lived in a rental. We rented the one unit and lived in one, and that was back in, I believe it was 2014.
Okay.
Um, and so then from there, we just we got into excuse me, wholesaling and flipping, and also adding more rentals to our portfolio.
Yeah. So it starts with a buy and hold, right? A landlord house hack, is lots of people call that, back in 14.
Mhm.
Where does it transition from, hey, let's diversify or have passive income, to, you know what? I want out of the rat race before I'm 30. I mean, was there a point in time that happened?
Um, I feel like I've always known that I wasn't meant to work in like a corporate environment. So I knew it was coming. My goal was always before 30.
Hmm.
But I think that I surrounded myself with people that were in that position
Hmm.
for many, many years. And so I knew that it was possible. So I think for me, it was just when I realized and when I kind of mentally just prepared myself and said, okay, I can do this. I have all these people here supporting me, and they're in that position. It just kind of switched. So my husband and I just came up with the plan and said, let's save up a certain amount of money so that we're good for at least a few months, and then we can kind of go from there. So
Yeah, that's really what I hope to get out of this. A is to celebrate your success. It is awesome, and I hope lots of people leave comments congratulating you, which they should. But I
mhm.
really want to get to the how, right? How'd you do it? Because again, from 2014 to 19, that's 5 years.
Mhm.
You hit your goal before 30, which a lot of people don't think is possible. So I
Yeah.
heard you say network, and let's kick that a little bit more, right?
Mhm.
All right. When did the network become important to you? What did it start right in 2014, or did you stumble across it in 15 or 16, or how did that importance come to be?
Yeah. So I started going to a lot of like real estate meetings back in 2014. Then I kind of died off of it, but I started going back. I would say it was probably around the time that I had my first order, which is like 2016.
Okay.
And so I just started, just talking with people, building relationships. There are a ton of wholesalers in this area, and I probably know 90% of them, right? It's just kind of having that open communication and showing up to these events.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, going to meetups in your local area is important, because again, you get to socialize with other people doing what you're doing, some full time, some part time, but you also get to ask those questions that very few other people really will have answers for, right? Hey,
Mhm.
what happens with an eviction, or what happens with when a buyer backs out? You can ask a friend that's not in real estate, and you'll get some kind of chirpy answer. but
Mhm.
talking to somebody in the business is vital. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go to the networks, which are awesome, and you see lots of people, but I'm guessing, this is always risky when you ask a question you don't know the answer to, but I'm guessing you kind of keyed on a couple of individuals and really made them either your actual mentors or like mentors. And if
Yes.
that's true, what'd you see? How'd that come to be? Because I think mentors are important.
Yeah, they're absolutely important. I definitely, um, I think my work ethic kind of spoke for me. And I think ultimately I had people reaching out to me, like experienced investors, because they saw that I was like putting in work and trying to do things on my own, and I needed a little bit more guidance. So they would reach out to me because they knew that I was, going at it basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's again one thing that's is true in this business is when other real estate investors see people doing the right things, we help each other, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that's equally important is there's lots of people out there going, help me, help me, help me, but aren't doing anything. And
Yeah. Hmm.
we just don't have the time to help
Hmm.
everyone, right? So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
um, putting in the work as you were probably was like you said, a clear sign to them that, hey, any time spent with Modesta is going to be time well spent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. So the network is important. You also talked about communicating with your significant other, your husband, right?
Yes.
Making this a joint decision. Can you
Absolutely.
talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So we always talk about our goals, right? So in the beginning of the year, we kind of have like our goals that we want to complete, and he is um, pretty involved in our business, and so I kind of just told him like, listen, let's just set a date, and from there, we'll save up and have enough then, so that we're at least a couple of months of I guess what's it called, like emergency fund,
Hmm.
put away, so that way I can pursue this full time. And so I've been blessed working with April, and we've been pretty busy, so it's been pretty consistent. So it was kind of a no-brainer. He knew where I was going, and he was 100% supportive. He was just like, he's actually been telling me this for months, like, you just need to leave your job and do this full time, because I was stressed. It's so stressful working a full-time job and then doing this full time, because it is two full-time jobs. So he would always tell me like, you're so stressed, just leave your job. But I just wanted to make sure, we have a family, two little girls, so I just wanted to make sure we had enough put away, and we can do this full time.
Yeah, because you can always go back. Not saying you will, but you having that reserve, giving it the full time effort. I think you're going to find your family life is better. Your this new gig is better, but you always do have that just in case, what if
Mhm.
thing out there. So
Yeah.
that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. All right. So getting your husband or significant other for both sexes on board is vital to this journey because you both have to say yes. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 Very, very cool. All right. So the network, your significant other, what other things were important around your journey? Because again, I want other people to kind of lay the bricks out if they wanted to take this leap. What else was important, you think?
I think consistency, just making sure that um, what you're getting in, marketing and everything is just consistent. It's not something that, okay, I flipped one house and made $30,000. I want to leave my job. Just make sure that you have everything set in place so that you're getting this, on a, consistent basis. I think that's really important. Um, and I think I mentioned this before, but just having that support. So not only people I consider my mentor and my husband, but also my family, like my sisters and friends and stuff, and having that support, because they were huge in that. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome. So let's put this a little bit more frame around consistency because you're absolutely right. I can't tell you how many people I've seen say, hey, I just wholesaled a deal and made 20 grand or flipped and made 30. I'm done.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe.
Uh-huh.
So in your mind, consistency, is that a quantity of deals? Is that like a 6 or 9 month track record? Let's help people see what you mean by that, Modesta.
Yeah, I would say so I base mine off of how many deals I'm getting per month.
Okay.
And that would equate to a specific number.
Hmm.
So I guess it just depends on what your goals are. So if your goals are, $5,000 a month, if that's going to be sufficient for you, just make sure that you're bringing in, the amount of leads that you need to get that.
Yeah, because it is a numbers game, right?
Mhm.
So let's just use the 5,000 as a perfect example, right? If your goal is 5,000 a month to quit your job, leave it, would you say you'd want to see that for 3 or 4 months in a row before you'd even consider it? I mean, like actual money in the account?
I would say 6 or
Oh,
more.
good.
Yeah, I would say 6 or months. I don't think 3 to 5, possibly even 8 months. I mean, for me, it was close to a year.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's awesome. Right. Because this, again, lots of people get excited by early success,
Mhm,
which, things could happen and maybe that's a trend. But
mhm,
when you go, hey, let's prove it works for a year.
mhm,
And then you can really start doing the numbers,
mhm,
because I'm sure different seasons, you've now seen, the summer months, the winter months,
mhm,
right? I'm guessing there's a difference in your market. I don't know for sure, but you've seen
mhm.
it all now. Is that?
Yep, it changes. Yep. Mhm,
Yeah. So again, I think we're giving advice that, hey, set your number. Again, we'll just use 5,000 as an example, but then go do that for a year
mhm.
before you even consider leaving. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Then have the support, then have the nest egg
Mhm.
emergency reserve
Yep.
fund, have the network, the support from your family. That's awesome.
Mhm.
I think this is great. So you got set the date, you created a plan, you had buy-in, you had a network, you had mentors, we have consistency. What else was key to your success getting comfortable, handing in that 2 week notice?
Um, I definitely listen to a lot of like podcasts, and I think just mentally preparing yourself, I think for me, the toughest thing for me is going to be getting out of that 9 to 5 mentality. Like, in my 9 to 5, work Monday through Friday, and then weekends are off. And although I've been working like full time for a while, that mentality of having off on weekends is no longer going to be that, right? I'll have more flexibility, but I'll be working 7 days a week. There's no when the leads come in, I have to work on that. So I think that's going to be the toughest. And I think, just to answer your question, is definitely just preparing yourself mentally as much as you can, listening to podcasts. And I'm really big on like motivational stuff, and just another thing too, one of my mentors actually mentioned this to me. We had lunch a couple weeks ago, and he said, just create a schedule. It changes daily, but every night before you go to bed, just write down a schedule of what you're going to do the next day, and just cross it off as you're doing it. So that way you're keeping up with what you have to do on a daily basis.
I think that's great. Keeping a schedule, making sure you stay focused. You're still diligent, right? You're not working for the man, so the 9 to 5 is gone. But you are doing something. It is a job.
Yep.
Um, the other thing you said that I took away is you got to keep feeding yourself positive messages, right? Learning and growing, because if I went through this after I left, where it got kind of negative inside my head, because I was like, "You lazy son of a gun! What are you doing? Stop
Yeah.
this!" It's like, what are you? What? I was killing myself. It was terrible. So I'm
Hmm.
glad to see you're not doing that. So that is
Yeah.
awesome. All right. So I think that's all great information. Any any kind of lessons learned either during the journey, right, from the decision in 14 or 16 through the exiting, that you're like, ooh, I wish we did that a little different, or any thoughts around that?
Um, my journey from, I guess, working to now,
Yeah.
I probably could have done this sooner if I was
Ah.
just consistent, right? If I was just consistent. I feel like there were time when I think back to the 5 years, there were probably times where I didn't work as hard as I should have to get deals.
Ah.
Um, and so, and I think that if I would have just set a date back then and said, okay, by this date, I want to leave my job, I feel like I would have probably been prepared for it if I would have done that before.
Yeah.
But I think that it's all about consistency, and just having a goal, and doing what you have to do to make sure that you reach it.
That's awesome. Again, there's nothing like putting a date out there that you stare at.
Yeah.
It's like, whoo,
Like, what's that? Yeah.
that's not getting farther away. That's getting closer.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. And to know thyself, right? To admit to yourself that sometimes you weren't working as hard
Mhm.
as you could have been is pretty cool. Not a lot of people have the guts to say that to themselves.
Yeah.
So good on you, Modesta.
Mhm.
Um, so what advice let's change this up a little bit, because you're 29. Let's pretend like you're at lunch and you're talking to somebody who's 49. So
Okay.
let's set the stage a little bit, right? So they're 49. They have a couple of kids probably in high school or college. So they're not out of the house yet. They're probably in their highest income years, right? Kind of. But they probably have a lot of debt. What would you advise them? And they see your story and they're like, they just don't think it's possible that they can get out. What would you tell? And let's assume they own nothing yet. Let's try to paint that picture, but they want to get started. Let's take money off the table. Let's assume they have some money for down payments or marketing, whatever you think. What would you tell that 49-year-old to help them understand that yes, it is possible?
I would tell them that I feel like a lot of people get caught up in like researching and stuff. And I feel like I'm just really big on listening to others that are in the same position. So I would tell them to, go on Bigger Pockets and read forums of people that are in their position. And that it's never too late. I think age doesn't matter. You hear about so many people doing it at whatever age, just because I'm 29, it can happen at any age. So I just think it's just about pursuing, looking for what you want and then just going after it. And I would just tell them to research, but actually do, right? Just come up with the plan and say, you know what, by the end of this quarter, I want to have a rental, and do what you have to do to get there, right? Like I said, it doesn't matter what the age is, what your situation is, it's all doable.
Yeah, I agree. One rental at a time is absolutely doable regardless of age. And if you're 49 and you have the money, you have no excuse today in this low interest rate environment with 30-year rate mortgages in the 4s, right? For investment loans. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So I love that advice. And right? Write an offer, heaven's sakes, right?
Yep.
Make a commitment, right?
No, right? Then you go on for your next one.
Go on, write an offer that makes sense to your business model. If they say no, it's okay. You go on to the next one. Couldn't have said it any better. All right, just because this is fun for me, let's flip the script. Let's assume you have a high school graduate, 18, so they're legally able to sign contracts. They have no money, meaning no down payment, and they're probably living at home. Let's set it all up, and they want to get started in this business, right? They're not going to college. What kind of conversation do you have with them?
I would tell them to look into, I guess, talking to other investors that are pretty seasoned and seeing if they need help with anything. That way they kind of have their foot in the door, kind of show the investor what they're made of and if they're committed and stuff, and start doing stuff like that. And when it comes to no money, even if they do find a property that they wanted to flip, that there's, I would tell them to do their research on private money lenders, because there are people out there that are willing to lend, and also hard money lenders. So it's not impossible, right? You hear about so many 18-year-olds doing it and killing it. So it's, just do what you got to do.
Yeah. If I had to do anything in life over again, it might be start real estate investing at 18, not go to college, not get a master's degree. Because there was, 6 to 8 years of my life and a significant debt that I took on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So starting at 18, I think, again, it goes back to your story, Modesta. You've given everybody the key, whether you're 18 or 49, right? Do the work. You got your duplex, you house hacked, you set dates, you networked, you did all these things. You just pivot on that. And if you're 18, it's go to the meetups, find a mentor, show them, like you did, hustle, show them you're doing stuff, and they will pull you along. Don't just wave your hands and scream, help me, help me, help me, help me, right? Try to find someone to add value to, and they'll help you. So that's pretty cool. Any other advice you have for folks, that are looking at real estate, thinking that, the stock market's getting dicey and I need to put my money somewhere? Any other advice?
Just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really my advice. When I tell people, I'm like, when you look at all, a lot of successful people, they all go back to real estate. They all talk about real estate. There's enough deals to go around. Just make sure that the numbers make sense. Make sure you study numbers, and don't be afraid to pay for a mentor if you have to, even, that, because I feel like there are a lot of people out there that I feel like overcharge, aren't real mentors. But just do your research like you do research on everything else. Go on Google, see if someone's legit, and take a class if need be, but do your research online. YouTube has tons of stuff, but just go out there and do it. Don't be afraid. Everyone's afraid. I tell everyone this. I'm like, the minute I get a property under contract, I'm really excited, but there's always this like fear, and it's always there, right? Even when I buy rentals, it's always there because you don't know what's next. It's like walking into a dark room and not knowing what's going to happen. That fear doesn't go away. It's just, I think what separates, successful people is that they keep going, and you just have to keep going. That's it.
Yeah, totally agree. All right. So now we get really to have some fun. So I am curious now that this is your first Monday, no W-2, where are you taking this thing, and what's your next goal? Right? You did this one. Congratulations. But I got to ask, what's next?
Oh, yeah. So definitely I would like to get another multi-unit under contract for my portfolio. I have goals on how many properties I would like to wholesale and flip a month or a year. And also, I've looked into doing other things like and starting other businesses that are kind of virtual and from home. So my husband and I are kind of talking about things here and there. So there's things in the works. I'm still kind of planning the actual timeline of stuff. So
I got you. So I won't push
yeah.
too much, but I'm curious. You did mention getting another multifamily. So it sounds like you have, I guess, multifamily meaning apartment, or are you referring to the duplex?
Apartment.
Okay.
Apartments, yeah.
So that's in your area. That I don't know how big an apartment, like 10 units, 50 units.
Oh no, I'm smaller scale. So I'm looking at like the 2 to 4,
Okay.
2, 4, 5 units. Yeah.
Yeah. So residential, probably maybe commercial if you get to the 5 unit.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Okay. And then I'm curious, did the goals leaving the workforce, did your goals change at all? Just to use the earlier example, we said 5,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's say that was your goal while working.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change now that you're out? Then you go from like 5 to 10, or you're like, no, 5 was always the goal. We just keep it at 5, or what do you think?
No, it absolutely changes, at least for me. Yeah, I'm always kind of shooting for the stars. So I have like a minimum, right? But then I'm always kind of reaching for that maximum amount that I can get. Yeah.
I love everything you're doing. It's so much fun. All right. So, and when you look at your business today, is it like 90% wholesale, a little flipping, and a little buy and hold, or what does that pie look like?
Yeah, I would say it's probably like 80% wholesale, and then like, or maybe 70% wholesale, and then like 20% rentals,
Okay.
and then like 10% flipping.
Hotel or flipping, or
Yeah.
whatever you
Yeah.
call it. Yeah. Very cool. And do you still just focus on one market?
Right now we currently do, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
That can
another,
change.
that could change.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually something that's interesting. A lot of people that have success, and there's no question you're having great success. I almost think, and actually I'm thinking of somebody I know right now who seems in a rush to go to more markets
Mm-hmm.
because they think that's what the big boys do.
Mm-hmm.
My advice is, why?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're already doing what you're doing, having fun, you're getting the quality of life you want,
Mm-hmm.
why add more risk? Do you see it that way, or am I missing something?
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's always, obviously money is always a huge motivator for people, right? So the more leads you get in, the more money you have. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like getting a raise at work, right? Everyone would say like, oh, don't you want a raise? And like, yeah, you do want a raise, but with that, it comes more like responsibilities and stuff like that. So I think
Right.
I completely understand where you're coming from. I feel like you need to master where you're at, like 100% master your market before you step into another market. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if they have the people and they feel like they've mastered it 100%, go right ahead. But I mean, I feel like that's,
Yeah.
you have to be at that stage. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that I come down on is something that Gary Vee, who's one of those positive voices that I try to listen to, he's on this happiness kick today or recently, right? It's about being happy.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, are you going to these other markets or whatever because you just want to be big and brag to your friends that you don't really care about?
Yeah.
Or does it make you happy? Right? If you're
Yeah.
happy in your market doing X dollars,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you already won.
Yeah.
Why change the race, right? So that's something I've been thinking about. And there's nothing wrong with being happy with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. Man, with more sellers, I stress out with the sellers I have now. I can't imagine
Yeah.
with the amount of like leads and stuff, it is stressful. So I can't imagine like, um, multiplying that, but
Yeah.
it could happen one day, right?
Yeah. I guess I'll ask the question because we were just talking about happy. Are you happy?
I am happy.
I bet.
I'm happy. I'm hungry for more, but I'm definitely happy. I am. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I think we'll leave on that. Being happy is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, Modesta. How can people follow you or connect with you? All of that great stuff.
Yeah. So my email address is modestabuyshousesburks@gmail.com. And then my Instagram is MDL_1990. Or Facebook, Modesta, HEREDIA.
Very cool. Do me a favor, send me a message with all of that and I'll put it in the show notes so people have them.
Perfect. We'll do that.
All right, Modesta, thank you very much and congratulations on being happy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Got it. Take care.